You got 18 millimetres in the gauge. I know you just said that city slickers don't care, but I wanted to make sure I got that stat in to prove that we do.
Well, that's great. Yeah, a drizzly morning in Tamworth, but very welcome. But hello, Charlotte, and when are you coming back to see us?
Well, strangely enough, in a couple of hours. I'm driving to Tamworth right after this shift, actually, so probably sooner than you were expecting in that answer. But I am. Yeah, I always try and make a little bit of an effort to get back there, and yeah, especially at the moment. I want to see how good it looks after this wet weather, because the last time I was there, it was very dry. But Barry, the Tamworth Country Music Festival, it's one of my favourite things I've ever been to. I did 10 days straight one year. I think I get a gold crown for that if you go every night consecutively. I really think it's a bucket list thing for everyone, that they have to go there because it's just the most unbelievable atmosphere. But of course, this year you guys have a bit of a challenge with COVID-19, as so many other festivals and events do. How are you guys going to adapt to that? Is the festival must go on?
Look, we'd love to be able to say the festival must go on despite anything, but realistically, you know, the safety of our visitors and our community are forefront. But we're very optimistic that we believe that it will be manageable by January and there will be a festival. Exactly how it looks, we'll actually know more as the year progresses. But we as organisers and as stakeholders in the event are working simultaneously on probably 2 or 3 scenarios that will enable us to actually identify, the closer we get to the mark, which horse to back, jump on that horse and go forward. So a failure to plan is a plan for failure. We're still planning for the festival to go ahead. It will look different. Just how different, we don't quite know yet, but you can be assured that there will be something happening in Tamworth in January.
How hard is it to, like, how far out do you have to pick that horse that you're backing from the actual festival? Because it's just a huge logistics thing. Like, people don't understand how massive it is. The whole city is completely turned on its head for the festival in the best way. How long do you guys need to be able to adapt to current restrictions?
Well, it's all new territory. I mean, none of us in the event game have had this before, so it's we're learning on the job a bit. But we're holding back some of our announcements a little bit longer so that when we make those announcements, they're as close to final as possible. So our first ticket for sale announcement will in fact be the end of September, early October. Normally we'd do that earlier, but that gives us a few months to actually be more keen. We've got great venues in Tamworth that even with the current, if we applied the current COVID restrictions now, we'd still be able to seat, for instance, 1,200 people in our Trek, which is the regional entertainment centre. We'd still be able to seat, you know, sort of 300 or 400 in the town hall. So as the festival is ostensibly a venue-based festival, I mean, yes, we have a lot of outdoor stuff, which is part of the experience, but about 90% of it's actually held in venues, and we're confident, keeping in touch with our venue owners and our stakeholders, that we are able to manage that capacity, whatever that COVID restriction may be. However, if it's too far, then that'll actually change that as well. But right at the moment, we're confident that that it will be able to venue manage most of the activities in the festival.
How much money does the TCMF bring into the local region across the kind of northwest and New England area of New South Wales?
Well, this is why the festival is so important to this region. We don't have a beach here, and we don't have sort of, you know, mountain views and things like that. So this is sort of like an artificial tourist attraction. And so every January, and as you know, probably the hottest time of the year, probably the, you know, still 40, 50,000 people a day, and an aggregate number across the 10 days of about 300,000 people enjoy it. And that injects well over $50 million into the economy, which is a very, very important bit. So we're working hard to try and keep as much of that economic growth in the festival, but clearly COVID has actually put pay to a lot of that sort of activity across our nation, across the world indeed. But it's also important from the country music industry point of view, because Tamworth signals 2 parts. One is the celebration of the previous year, which culminates with the Golden Guitar Awards, but it's also the launch pad for the following year's touring. So it's vital for 2 reasons. 1, the economic benefit, but 2, because it's such an important social a calendar event for the country music calendar.
It's also vital for the morale of the area. I mean, Tamworth has had a really difficult run with the drought. You guys, you know, not directly in Tamworth, but certainly as surrounds, you had fires. Is it bizarre to think that of all of those things, COVID could be the one that actually stops the festival?
Well, I think, you know, you have to pinch yourself to realise how serious this COVID pandemic is. And I guess to bring my reality, you know, I worry about what we're going to lose and how it's going to reduce the economic impact and all that sort of thing. And then I think they cancelled the Olympics. Yeah. And so to put it into some sort of perspective, you know, like...
That is a good perspective.
What we're endeavouring to do, albeit vitally important for this region and New South Wales and Australia generally, you know, into perspective, the health and well-being of our visitors, our community and our artists is very important, and we'll do whatever is required to actually make that safety complete. But it's so important to actually have this celebration of mainly Australian music. We have international acts, of course, but it's about the celebration of Australian excellence in country music. And as you've witnessed yourself, it's not, you don't have to be a country music fan to actually benefit from Tamworth.
Oh, hey, I'm a country music fan. Don't make any assumptions, Barry.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean it to sound like that. I was saying to myself that even young people, no, I think Tamworth has so many subgenres of music that even if you thought you didn't like country music, I will guarantee that spend a few days in Tamworth during that festival and you will go away and you'll be back every year after that for sure.
I tell everyone I know to go to that music festival because I think it is the most eclectic festival you can ever go to, and it's the most harmonious. You get grey nomads who are in the same pub dancing with and alongside, you know, 18-year-old people who are just out of school who are absolutely partying, and you get locals and you get people from everywhere, and it just works. Like, everyone is in the nicest mood and everyone chats to each other. And I just have never been to a festival like that where they have that kind of unity. And I love it. What is the option? If you guys need to go virtual, is that an alternative that you guys have looked into?
It is. And as much as we won't, you know, we won't wish for that scenario. We just had a small festival just recently called Hats Off to Country, which we did a bit of trial. It was sort of a subtle trial, but we actually did it virtually, and we had over 100 artists performing both live and recorded that we actually sent out over the 4 days of that festival with some pretty good sort of results in terms of viewership and comments and all that sort of thing. So we know we've got the intelligence and the IT and the capacity to do it. We certainly are working on that in the background, but our utmost desire is to actually have something live, something good, something big and special. But I suppose the absolute doorstop for the festival, the worst case scenario will be probably several hundred hours of virtual country music emanating from Tamworth. But coming back from that, you know, yes, there might be less people, depending on whether borders are closed or open and all that sort of thing. But the reality of Tamworth is it is such an iconic event that even if we in our best wisdom said it wasn't on, there'd still be country music somewhere and there'd still be people having fun. But, you know, as you know, and I think your viewers, you know, it's very hard to think of a music festival that's not, you know, in a paddock like Splendour in the Grass or Big Day Out or something, you know. This actually involves over 80 venues. Last year, we had over 2,500 scheduled events over the 10 days and reflecting more than 700 artists are in Tamworth. So imagine the poster you have to do for 700 artists, you know, it'll be pretty small print. But it's until you actually experience it, it's hard to actually describe what it's like.
Well, Barry, congratulations to you and your team up there for continually adapting. I know that they're a resilient bunch in Tamworth and you guys will survive this one way or another. Thanks so much for your time this morning chatting with you, and I might see you on Peel Street over the weekend.